I'm showing my age. And it's been a wonderful 28 years, but I hope what I can do today over the course of the next 45, 50 minutes with my fantastic colleague Emma is give you food for thought about where this industry is maybe headed and whether or not that's something that you feel in your facility that you want to take advantage of. So I'm just going to pass you over to Emma. She'll give you a very quick introduction before we start.
Thank you, Glenda. Yeah, my name's Emma. I'm an exec coach and resilience practitioner. I joined We Talk Wellbeing with Glenda. I am passionate that resilience and wellbeing is the cornerstone to our success. Without it, we're not able to thrive. So this session is about you and you as a leader within the fitness industry. And we're really looking forward to sharing our ideas with you today so that you can take back into your roles. So thanks, Glenda.
Thank you, Emma. So, welcome everybody. I just want you to stop for a second. It's very rare that we get 1 hour off. I'm sure coming back from the bank holiday weekend, everybody's got that huge to-do list today. But actually, I would ask you now, if you could join Emma and I with an open mind for the next hour. I'd also, in the spirit of mindfulness, ask you guys if you could suspend judgment and be fully present with us as we take you through what I think is the future of wellbeing in our sector. I do ask you all if you could reflect throughout, because this is about taking time on your business, not in the business. And I think that's really important, that from time to time, as managers, as employees, and as leaders, that we actually get off the dance floor and survey all that we have at our disposal from the balcony. And that's what I'm asking you to do with me for the next hour. So thank you.
So it is the first day from the bank holiday. So just take this time to reflect on where you are today. Are you somewhere on the left where you're maybe a 0 or a 1? Are you over there on the right where you're smiling and thriving? Are you sure about your colleagues? Where are they today? And what is the impact where you're at today having on you and your business? Just take a moment to reflect about where you think you might be.
Right, Emma.
So this is what we're going to cover today. What is well-being? We hear about it all the time. And actually what well-being means to me will be very different from what it means to you, but very different for what it means for your members. So today we're not just in the gym, we're in the mind gym as well. We know that our mind and our body are connected. If we just work on our bodies, we're not going to get the results we want. But the impact of our mind over our physical health is combined. And that is why well-being really matters. We're going to look at the opportunity for the fitness industry and what this could represent for you and your business, your employees and your members. And at the end, we'll have 10 minutes for a Q&A. Post this webinar, you'll be able to contact us and Joanna will send you out our email addresses so that you can get in touch with us if you want to.
Emma, before we move on, I think it's just important to have a look at that picture on the right, because I'm sure it resonates with everybody out there who is working so hard to produce an amazing experience for your members, but also the daily experience that you have in the gym. We think nothing now about gym for the body. And I think that what we want to pitch to you today is that the time is now maybe here for us to do a little bit more gym for the mind, with not just yourself, but also your teams and also your members. So thank you, Emma, for that introduction. I appreciate it. So guys, I want to start by something that is really big and chunky, and I want to try and break down a couple of myths, because well-being, the challenge we have with well-being generally is it's very much a complex word. We band the word around like we all have a shared understanding of what it really means. And I just want to get a bit of clarity on that before we move forward. And I do absolutely love this diagram on the left-hand side by the University of New Hampshire, who do a really beautiful articulation of the difference between well-being and wellness. And I just want you to think about you for a minute, because well-being is a state of thriving. And that is how you allow yourself to thrive as an individual, but as also part of a community. And I want you to think about the environment that you've got where you work right now. Are people thriving as individuals, and are they also thriving as a community? And I think when you look at that diagram, you can see there that physical activity is only one small part of what it takes to be well, what it takes to thrive. And for me, this is one of the huge opportunities in our sector is, and I hope that you understand, I'm going to have to make some assumption, but in the main, we tend to work on the physical pillar. But we know that well-being is so much bigger than just someone's physical fitness. We have to think about their social well-being, their spiritual well-being, their emotional well-being, how the environment sets them up for thriving. And that includes your gym or your facility, their financial well-being. Sometimes it does come down to the fact that for some people, unfortunately, access is not equal, and some people can't even afford to now go to the gym. And what do we do about that? And there's also intellectual and occupational well-being. The thing is, you can see from that well-being is holistic. It is also quite complex. But what I'd like to pitch to you is that is full of opportunity that we might not have untapped in our facilities. I also want to now zoom in on the idea that well-being is a state of thriving, but wellness is how you actively care for yourself to achieve the well-being that you seek. And if I just go to the picture on the right, this is about your daily self-care practice. So what is the self-care practice of the leaders in your organisation? What is the self-care practices of your teams? And what are the self-care practices of your members? Because what I want to pitch to you today is that KYC has never been more important. Know your customer. We often make assumptions that we know if our customer is thriving or not. But when you look at that diagram, it really comes home to the idea that they might be physically fit, but that doesn't mean that they have full holistic well-being. I don't know what you want to add to that, Emma. It's quite important.
Yeah, and I think this comes back to our personal responsibility to understand what our well-being is, but knowing it's not just about your physical health. And I think for so long in the fitness industry, it's what we focused on. But post-pandemic, we're so much more in touch with everything else, particularly in the current state with the rising cost of living, our blurred boundaries, we're working a lot more. How impacted do you think your members are with their mental well-being? Have we considered that it's not just about how well we feel, but our financial well-being, our spiritual collection? What would it mean for your members if you were to ask? I think if we all take responsibility to understand what well-being means as a whole, we'll start to see amazing results for both physical and mental health.
And I think that's really important, because even today, I'm sure turning up for this 1 hour webinar, you were thinking about all the other things, all the other stressors that you have going on that would stop you from coming to this webinar. And actually, sometimes we all need to stop and take a break, take a Kit Kat.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you all now to take a Kit Kat, take a break, and just come with us a bit further.
So I put,
sorry, Emma, I think this is me.
Go on.
So I put this to you guys. I want you to think about your current climate in the fitness industry. And I want you to just basically tick these off as I ask you. Are you guys feeling the pressure of the market environment and rising costs? You can nod if you're on video. I can see some of you. Some people are already nodding. Are you feeling the pressure of wearing different hats? As a fitness industry, we are really good at that. And we do have to do a lot of that, where 1 minute we might be working on reception, and then the next minute we're doing an induction, and then the next minute we're doing a tour. We do often wear many hats. Are you feeling the pressure of the workload in your sector? Because many people right now are reporting that workloads are up. Are you feeling the pressure of this increasing uncertainty? The drive for sales and the challenge of staff recruitment, well-being and retention. Can you just nod for the people that I can see if you think that a lot of them apply to you right now? Absolutely, and it really does feel like the stress mounts when we have this going on. But someone's just gave me a little handshake. Thank you, Gareth. I appreciate that. But I'm going to be really challenging to you all today, because those external factors, whilst they are extremely challenging, they will always be there, or they'll be replaced by something else. So what we're asking you to do today is to look in the mirror and consider what you can do, what you can take control of, what you can influence to help you unlock more potential and understand the part that you play in driving your businesses towards the success that you want. And that's really important. So let's really keep looking in the mirror, despite how hard that might be. Because I just want to stress about how much time you spend at work. You can move slide, Emma. Thank you. We spend an average of 81,936 hours at work. Why does that matter? Well, here's why it really matters, guys. Because right now, in 2022, the State of the Global Workforce report by Gallup showed that 60% of the workforce are detached from their duties. 19% are miserable. And the challenge here is that the biggest causes of burnout is unfair treatment at work, unrealistic workloads, and poor communication. And what this report found, that 70% of that is down to the leadership of the business. So you are absolutely critical if you're going to unlock the potential, the well-being opportunity for your business. But what Emma and I would like to stress is that you can't fill from an empty cup. We have to have you thriving before your teams will thrive and your members will thrive. Currently, only 23% of the workforce are engaged at work, and only 33% of the workforce are thriving. I just need you to think about that, about when you go back into that business and you go back onto the dance floor after we've been on the balcony for this hour, what that would look like for you, and ensuring that your teams are set up to take advantage of our forthcoming opportunity.
And I'd like to add, what would it mean for your members when they go into a thriving dance floor, where they go into an environment where everyone is happy and feeling positive? It will mean that your members will benefit, and they'll start to feel that too. Would you agree, Glenda?
Absolutely. Where movement and energy goes, people will flow. And it's really important. We need inertia and we need energy, and we need to make sure that that starts with us and starts with our teams if we really want to get that sense that our members are also thriving.
So what is the price that we pay? So I'd love you just to look at this image on the right here. Where do you sit on this curve? Are we putting a cultural stress over self-care? Do we do things without even thinking How often do we get out of the car where we've driven somewhere? We don't really quite know how we got there. Do we do that every day where we have no intention in what we're doing because we're stressed? How often do you feel overwhelmed? Do you sometimes feel that you're standing at the bottom of a mountain, unable to really understand how you're going to get to the top? It's true that our brains are designed to look for the negative. We're often seeing things that are going to go wrong before they go right, and that fuels our stress. We are built like this. So that's why we say, let's stand on the balcony today and start to look at how we can see things differently. What are we doing? Are we aware of them? Because when we're aware, we can make changes. But the truth is that we are the biggest asset to our business. And if we are not well, how sustainable are we to create a business that thrives and help our colleagues thrive and our members thrive too? I'd just like you to think about where you're at right now. Go on, Glenda.
Really important. I just wanted to add that we did pay a price over the last few years, and there is no sector that I know that worked harder during that pandemic and had more challenges than our sector. But I want to give you some amazing news about that. Despite paying a price, we also learned a huge amount. And the joy of resilience is that it can be taught and it can be learned. And what I want to stress to everybody is that we are more resilient as a workforce in the fitness industry than we have ever been before because of that shared experience. The one thing that I would say is we don't often use it as a point of reference to remind us of the new skills that we learnt. The skills of consistency and doing things consistently well every day, being disciplined despite the challenges, and also being able to positively frame, even in spite of very difficult conditions. And I do think that we should take a few seconds to congratulate every single person on this call who went through that shared experience, has come out the other side. We need to use that mindset, that skill set, and that tool set that you learned to our advantage in grabbing what I think is the big opportunity moving forward. So we just want you to think a bit more. Emma, you can share with the guys.
So however you show up today might be really different to how you felt last week. Think about coming back through the pandemic when the gyms were shut. Where were you sitting then and where do you sit now? We are human beings and we change. And what you're seeing in front of you here is the continuum of well-being. Where do you think your teams are at? Are you somewhere on the right? Do you notice these behaviours? Or perhaps you might be somewhere on the left, or you may be managing people that are on the left. What would it mean if we were to pull you right over to the right, where you were outcome orientated and confident, creative and innovative, responsive to change and purposeful? I bet if you really took the time to think about all the skills that you've picked up through these last 3 years, you could 100% be on the resilient side. See and think about where you think your teams are at. Just start to become aware, because when you become aware, we can create and learn the tools to get over to that right-hand side of the continuum. What are your thoughts, Glenda?
Just think it's really important to mention that this also is completely applicable to your members. Have you done an audit on the well-being of your members? Because I'm going to challenge you, but you will do all this fantastic marketing that you change people's lives. We know you do. We also know that you get people more physically fit. But if we are really serious that we change people's lives and their well-being, we cannot ignore the fact that it's our duty and responsibility to work with members who are struggling and also work with our members who are thriving. And I ask you to be really critical on yourself and your team. Would you know where your members are at right now? It's really critically important that we understand what we can put in place to help our members who are struggling, but also to help our members maintain what helps them to thrive. So we want to dig a bit deeper on that. I just want you to really look at that picture on the right, because for all intent and purposes, we like to come at life with two masks. We have that public mask, you know, I rock, everything is cool right now. And then we have that private mask where you're just about holding it together. What people see is not always what's going on. So what I want you to ask yourself, and you can think about this with your teams when you leave this today, how well do you really know your members? Are you guys what we would call, Emma and I, we love to call this, we become feelings detectives? Do you pick up on changes in your members' mood and how they're interacting with your team? Do you pick up on changes in members' interest, their motivation levels, their attendance and their focus? Do you really pick up when members are struggling to adhere on the programme, make decisions and find solutions to their barriers? And any other, what Emma and I would call stress-related symptoms and behaviours that you might pick up on: tiredness, anxiety, becoming more withdrawn, losing interest in the activities that they enjoy, or changes in what we would call more risky behaviour, eating habits, smoking, drinking, and drugs. Now you might go, who cares? We're a fitness facility. Well, actually, your bottom line KPIs and your profit cares. Because if we don't understand our members, how can we possibly support them in a way that they will know instinctively that you're the right place for them? So I need you to think about that when you leave us today. How well do you know your members?
I think it's important to say that quite often what we're told is not the truth, it's what we see. And it's taking that space to watch more than you hear, because they're the things that you'll spot in your members.
And I want to ask you how well you know your teams. Because again, like the picture on the right, if the lights are on, but no one is home, that is the biggest risk that you have to your business. So if we go back to those statistics, when I said earlier that the Gallup report showed that only 22%, 23% of people are engaged at work, we call that presenteeism. That is a much bigger risk than absenteeism. The lights are on, but no one is home. How well do you know your team? When was the last time you checked in people's moods or how they're interacting with their colleagues? How are you measuring their output, their motivation, and their focus? Are you picking up on behaviours that are not their baseline behaviour? Because normally when we feel stress and we perceive that we're not coping, we start to behave in a way that is atypical to your normal behaviour. So for example, someone that's loud and chatty like me might go a bit quiet. So it is absolutely about becoming a feelings detective, picking up on changes to their habits, changes in their output. But now the most important thing, because as we said before, you cannot fill from an empty cup, I'd like you to think about you now. You move on, Emma, please. How well do you know yourself as a leader, as a manager? And how well do you know right now where your business is? So I want to introduce you to a really cool model called the pressure performance curve. As you can see, I hope you can pick up that from this, we have two big problems in the workforce that we need to be really watching out for: bore out, boredom, or burnout. because Emma and I truly believe that bore out is every bit as dangerous to your business and your profit line as people who are burnt out. Are you bored? Or are you burnt out? Because we know that when people are resilient and they're thriving, we are in that optimum zone of performance. You might have read some books where they call it flow, the flow state. Or some people like to call it that stretch zone. So as a business right now, are you in stretch or are you in stress? Have you got people in your team that are burnt out, or have you got people in your team that are just bored? Because our job as leaders and managers is to absolutely, where possible, get our team in their optimal performance. And when we are performing optimally, that is the place where we can start picking up the opportunity that we're going to talk about in the next few minutes. And actually, even if you thought about your members and you want to dig a bit deeper in your wellbeing consultations, where are they right now with their work? Because if they're burnt out or they're bored or they're in high stress, they're going to bring that into the gym environment. It's really important that we understand where we're at. How much pressure and demands are you putting on your team? Do you get them doing daily tasks that make no difference to the business, but you just like the fact that you've always done that process? Is that process just that unnecessary workload that doesn't change your bottom line? Have you asked your team where they are in their performance zone recently? Are you measuring it and monitoring it? Emma, what would you like to add here?
I think I like to see the optimum zone as like the tailwinds. You know, you're flying through the air and it's pushing you on. But I think it's really important to become that feelings detective and just know the signs that you notice in yourself when perhaps you're heading from stretch into strain.
Yeah.
Is that you become an overthinker? Do you notice that you maybe sleep more? Are you someone that perhaps worries over the small things, whereas if you were in that optimum zone, you wouldn't? Do you lose confidence? But it's so important to ask your team members where they're sitting, because it will change. And if they're sitting in that stress and stretch, are they aware of what their triggers are and what their signs are? How do they show up? Because if we all know ourselves and each other better, we can help one another. We can be responsible for our own well-being.
Absolutely.
And this is why the work we do really counts, because it makes you aware. And when you get attentive to what you are, you become intentional about what you can do to change it.
Absolutely. And I just want to stress, because I know this will resonate with you all, I am always inspired by the facilities that we have in our clubs, the most up-to-date equipment. I was out in Ursa the other week, I was out in FIBO, and the innovation in our sector is amazing. But I do put this to you, and it's really important that I say this, but if you want to raise the dial on all of your KPIs, and you want to tap into the new opportunity that I think is coming to this sector, it starts and ends with people. People are the absolute critical investment that you now have to make to raise the dial and make sure that we hit that flow state. I just want to repeat what I said before. If the lights are on and no one is home, we have a big, big problem. And there are 3 things that you can do to really help your people be ready for this opportunity. That is to give clear communication, make sure that you deal with unfair or unrealistic workloads, and ensure that the load is spread evenly, because we know that there is no I in team. Thank you, Emma.
So we've looked at what well-being means. We know it's not just about physical health. We know it's about mental health. It has to come together. We've started to think about where you sit on the pressure performance curve, perhaps starting to think about your team members. What are you noticing about their changes, or perhaps what's happening for them? So my question is, whereabouts are you on this ladder? Are you somewhere on the bottom? You might be somewhere in the middle now, that you're acknowledging the reality of where you're at, wherever that might be. But what would happen if we made it happen?
Mm-hmm.
What if we started to own this? We started to take responsibility for our well-being, and we empowered our team members and our members to become powerful in their own well-being. We want to help you find solutions, but the only way we can get to that power is to make it happen. So my question is, how would you answer this today?
Emma, can I just add there, if people look at this accountability ladder, that this is extremely powerful with your members, because we know when people find excuses, I don't have the time, I've got a lot on at the moment, that's a powerless place to be. When we help not just yourself, but your team and your members to own their situation, to find solutions and make it happen together, it's a very powerful place to be. And I want to now focus in on your members for a minute. If you can move on, Emma, please. Thank you. I want you to think about getting back to beginner's mind. Can you all nod if you remember when you learned to swim? Do you remember that? It was pretty tough, right? You were definitely the fish out of water. Now, here's the interesting thing. Because we've been in the industry a long time, we start to think that we are the bearers of all wisdom, that we do know everything about our members. And I just want to bust the bubble a little. Because sometimes what we know is that people start to become unconsciously incompetent. And I want you to get back to being consciously competent and coming at this with a beginner's mind. Because sadly, what we sometimes think we know about our members is based on assumption. And it's often based on outdated research about why people quit, or also research that's got limited context to the idiosyncrasies of your facility. So I'm going to test you, and I want you to think, how often do you survey your members to find out what's really going on? And I just want to give you the big things that we make assumptions on about why 50% of our members have left the building in the first 12 months, making our job extremely difficult. Because we assume that it's budget. But have you ever thought that they just don't see it as value for money? We often think it's because they don't have accountability. They've got nobody that comes to the gym with them. They're not accountable for themselves. We might ask you to consider, do they perceive that you don't give support? That you are effectively renting a treadmill? Because they can rent a treadmill anywhere. In the world that we are now in, with our customers being more educated than ever before, they are looking for them to perceive that you give support in their overall well-being, because they understand that well-being is not a one-size-fits-all, and they also understand that it's not just about physical fitness. It might be that they've had a lack of sleep, or they're feeling stressed, or they suffer some anxiety. We often think it's because they're uncomfortable with the equipment. But actually, have we taken time to help the member build their confidence and their self-belief, which is actually a psychological construct, not a physical one? We sometimes think that they just don't feel it's the right fit. What Emma and I would say is they actually don't feel psychologically safe. They might feel intimidated about their body shape. They might be feeling that they have lost a huge amount of confidence because they've just went through a divorce. We also think it's because they're busy with family, but what we know is that many people have been wrongly taught to assume that self-care is selfish. We know that self-care is not selfish, it's actually mandatory, because like I said before, for us to be the best leaders, to be the best family members, to be a good friend, you cannot fill from an empty cup. What I find the one that really makes me quite interested is that we think for some reason they're dissatisfied with our offer, which is really good, so it's their fault. Well, they can just go to another club because obviously our offer is great, they just don't see it. Actually, we don't solve their problems by telling them about the type of program they're on or the equipment that they're going to use. We have to go deeper than that and get to their pain point. And their pain point is often much deeper below the waterline. It's a bit like the iceberg. We see what they want to show us, but when we dig deeper below the waterline, what is the true reason why they're in your club? Is it to meet someone? Is it to feel like they can improve their confidence? Is it because they're not that fussed about fitness and having the body beautiful? They just want to feel that when they walk up the stairs to work, that they feel healthier in themselves. And that's where we see the shift of continuum between fitness and wellness. And that's why we need to tap into this potential. So when you go back to your teams, ask yourselves the true things that you need to consider as to why people are leaving your clubs. And I want to put this to you today. It might be nothing on the list that I've given you there, but the message is you need to find out. Do not rely on industry statistics that tell us why people leave our clubs. Why are they leaving your club? Let's get curious. Exit questionnaires and exit interviews, actually asking a member if you can interview them.
So you will know that we have had a pandemic, but from what Glenda and I are seeing with the work that we do across various industries, we are living in a stress pandemic. So I want you to have a look at this bucket here. Now, this is a really lovely way to think about stress as a bucket because we can all visualize a bucket. What fills your bucket? So if you had a stress bucket today, what has already filled it? Is it family members? Perhaps you woke up and you had a letter that you opened that maybe made you feel a bit stressed. Perhaps you came in and you had some negative feedback, or you've already had some conflict at work. You will all have a stress bucket. But my question is, as a leader or a team member, what do you do to release the stress? Do you have anything at all? Are you sure how overflowing or full your members' stress buckets are? Because the fact is, we see about 15% penetration for gym members in the UK. In fact, before this, we were talking about being actually less. So only 15% of the UK go to a gym. It could be as low as 12 to 13%. Is that because they have a big stress bucket? Do they have a tap to release it? Do we know what is going on for our members and our colleagues? But the truth is, as much as this is a low number, this is a massive opportunity for the fitness industry. Huge. Because if we were to increase that penetration by 2%, what would it mean for your gym? What would it mean for your profit? And by focusing on our mindset and our well-being, really getting to know our members, what impact would that have on your profit and your penetration?
I just want to add, there was a report out last week, my colleague was telling me about it just this morning, that was saying that you get a 1.3 higher efficacy on your mental health from physical activity than counselling, for example. But the challenge is we have to get people in the building first. And we have to tackle their perceptions that everything that they are putting in that bucket can be alleviated by our solution. And I do want to stress, excuse the pun, that the stress pandemic, despite how horrendous this is a massive opportunity for us to raise the dial on the 15%. Because the people, the 85% that are not using our clubs, have got all of the same stressors that you and I have. And that is an opportunity because many of these people want to use a facility for their well-being, maybe even more specifically than their fitness. So for people who want to tap into that opportunity, it's massive. Now, I also want to stress, if you are a fitness facility and that is all you do, and that is what you say you do on the tin, fair enough. That is absolutely fine because you should be what you are on the tin. But if you want to tap into some new revenue and increase your KPIs, I don't know any other sector that could do this better than us. Because we know that GPs will do brief intervention work, anything under 2 minutes, but they don't want to do anything deeper than the brief advice. We know that public health have limited resources and they're doing what they can to help the nation get more active. But who is going to pick up this massive opportunity if we don't? That is just a question that I ask. So I just want to show you, you go, Emma, and then I'll just show some statistics on the opportunity.
So let's start to think, is it time to slow down, to start to be on that balcony, look down at what's happening on the dance floor? Is it time to focus on the people in your business? Where are they on that pressure performance curve? What does their stress bucket look like? And what impact is that having on your members and the environment that you're in?
Absolutely.
We know that this is a huge opportunity. It is a challenge and we are all in this challenge together. There is a stress pandemic and it's changing very quickly. Let's utilize it. We need to prioritize engagement and retention. So what does that engagement look like? Wellbeing is an opportunity to engage with your members,
Absolutely.
to start to increase the penetration, get people in the building. But in order to do that, we need a fun dance floor. How resilient are your teams? When members show up, are they seeing happy, thriving employees? Or is the atmosphere a place where they don't want to stay in the building? Because quite honestly, the party's over. Our teams are so important in creating that atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And if we develop wellbeing in leadership, it will start to filter down through your clubs. We have to start with ourselves as leaders because our employees are watching more than they're hearing.
Absolutely. So guys, I'm not going to spend long on this. You can get our slides at the end, but the global wellness economy is in huge growth. Even if you don't read what's in those dots, the physical activity dot is just one dot of many other dots in the wellbeing industry that essentially we can start to join the dots. This industry is not getting smaller, it's only getting much bigger. Many people don't realise, but nutrition and weight loss is near enough as big on its own as the physical activity market. And then we've got mental wellness, we have wellness tourism, we have corporate wellbeing offerings. This sector is not going away, it is going to go and explode. And that is why we think that this can help you drive new income lines because members want to join clubs that demonstrate that they care about the bigger parts of their life, that impact them on a daily basis. So here's what I think is the 7 top predictions that I give you that we are going to explore in further webinars. If you just want to move to the next one, Emma. So here's what I think are the top 7 predictions that you could consider to grab this opportunity. So I do think you're going to see a transformation of instructor certification programs to include wellbeing. The sad reality is we do not do enough on the psychology of our members, and you're going to see that shift. It's already coming in now, which I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see the integration of digital wellbeing solutions into club software and also into membership bundles, where members will be able to do a menu add-on to incorporate some of those holistic parts to their journey. That could look like MSK, it could look like counselling or mental health support. You're going to see that on the rise. I've made this prediction before, happy to put my name to it, but I think within the next 5 years, you're going to see on-site wellbeing coaches in every single club. Just like what we see right now with personal trainers. There are also personal trainers that could be upskilled who really are passionate about this area to take that under their wing. Or even someone maybe who has come back into the business, has great life experience and really passionate about understanding your members. That would be a major upskill opportunity. I think you're going to see greater product segmentation of member communities for key groups. Older adult is a major opportunity. Menopause, a major opportunity. And sadly, we haven't done a brilliant job in this industry in encouraging our corporate community to use us as the corporate wellbeing solution. And that in itself is a massive wellbeing opportunity. I do think you're going to see the rise of clubs that cater for mind and body. You're going to see a much stronger collaboration between medical and functional. And I also will go as far as saying that you will see a greater integration to public health. What this does demand is that we go back to gym for the mind. We need to upskill our workforce with the prioritisation of understanding how we support our members and our teams in their well-being and their ability to thrive. So that's for us the top 7 predictions. So this is a need for a factory reset, and I do think, Emma, in the spirit of time, we will literally whiz through the last 3 slides so that people can ask some questions.
Yeah.
But it is a factory reset on our leadership, on the products and services that you want to offer, on how we wrap around the members' programming to give them lifestyle and wellbeing support. It will also demand of us that we consider our delivery. And Emma and I are super passionate about what that looks like, because we think it starts with mindset, skill set, and tool set. But that's an exciting opportunity.
We'll get you to look at the roots, the barriers, allowing you to see the perspective of your members. We're going to deepen your client relationships. We'll demonstrate that you care, and that's by upskilling your knowledge so that you can spot what you need to spot with the people around you. Wellbeing will improve your retention and attrition. We want to get that 15% higher. What would that mean for your club? And this will increase referrals and income, because suddenly that party seems a bit happier. People want to come into your building. They feel that you understand them more. Suddenly your colleagues are feeling happier. Your environment is safe. Promoting well-being with your members will do all of these things.
Absolutely.
You want to go for this, Glenda?
Yeah, I just want to add that fostering wellbeing with your teams will not just provide psychological safety, but it builds trust. And we know that when you build a culture based on trust and you coach for performance through really genuinely caring about your team's well-being, you will retain top talent and you will retain key employees. And absolutely right now, that is critical to us moving the dial on our bottom line profit. We will also improve member satisfaction because, as Emma said, when we're happy, our members pick up on that.
So who would agree that you are your biggest hurdle? You might have come into this today wondering what this means to you and can you do it? But you can. And when you start with your well-being, you increase your self-belief. Because when you fill other people's cups, when yours aren't so full, you can help people move forward. When you're working on yourself, you create connection and fun. And we know that builds trusting, psychologically safe teams. We want to get you working on the business, not in the business, starting to see it from a bird's eye view. You will be able to role model the prioritization of well-being. You wouldn't believe the amount of organizations we work with where leaders don't model that and the impact it has on teams.
Absolutely.
It's so important that you start with yourself. And we want you to build a sustainable business. And that has to start with you. So wherever you are on that ladder, start to move up it, because with the right mindset, skill set and tool set, you can 100% achieve what you want to achieve.
Absolutely. So this is just a signpost. I'm sure you've been thinking, well, how do you build the resilient organisation to help tap into the wellbeing opportunity? Well, we've talked about mindset, skill set and tool set. In the practical webinar, kindly put on by Explore, we will be doing exactly that. We're going to explore how we build out the resilient mindset, the resilient skill set, and the resilient tool set. Now, I'm really hoping that you're registered for that event on the 18th of May. If you want to go to that event and you're not currently on their list, please do reach out to Joanna at Explore and she can tell you a little bit more about what we're going to do next. So finally, today was about you looking in the mirror. So we want you to consider what well-being means for you, your people and your members. What is the potential opportunity? Are you going to offer stress management? Are you going to collaborate with other key stakeholders and bring in complementary services but using other people's expertise and collaborating more? Are you going to invest in a wellbeing culture? So we're going to come up in our helicopter and look down on the topic and just think about fresh perspective. So we are going to open out for some questions, if that's okay. And please feel free. We are absolutely delighted to do that.
So you can use the chat box if you'd like to as well, if you'd rather not say anything.
Hi, Glenda.
Hi, Peter. I think that's Peter's voice.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Yeah,
nice to see you.
Thank you for that. Really interesting. I think it's, and appreciate you and Emma actually holding a mirror up to the industry, because I think that really created the awareness. You work in other sectors as well. How would you rate the health and fitness industry in comparison to other sectors when looking at either staff awareness, or if you look at hospitality, how they look after hotel guests in regards to this topic?
I think it's a really great question, and I do like to give an answer, so I'm not shying away from the answer. I think the challenge that we've always had, Peter, is that we are a resilient industry. We're probably more resilient, to be fair, than some other sectors. But what's actually really interesting is leaders as well are more resilient than any other employee group. And I think that fitness leaders even more so than the average leader in other sectors. But the challenge that poses is, do they spot it in their teams and in others? And I think that is a big challenge. Emma, what do you want to add on that?
I would say it's a really tough one to call, because I think well-being means something to everyone. What it will mean for you, Peter, to me is different. I think Glenda makes a good point. We work across various sectors, and the challenge always comes that in order to be a leader, you have to have a certain level of resilience, and you're great as a leader because you are resilient, but that can mean it's really hard to spot in others. I think for me, as someone that hasn't worked in the industry but has 2 gym memberships, I know from a membership perspective how I feel when I go into a gym, and I think you can tell very quickly whether a team is thriving or not. And I think it's and when you say hold a mirror, I'm really happy that you said that, because that is what this is all about. So you might not know what the answer is to that yourself. I think the key is to come back in and go back to your gym and have a look at what you think is missing. But I think, as Glenda said, the challenge with leadership is we are resilient, and that can throw its own challenges up. So I can't give a definite answer to that. It's just what we observe from the different clients we work with.
Peter, I've just been sitting reflecting on the question, and I think one last thing I'd like to say is what we're maybe not so strong on is our regular pulse and engagement surveys of our teams. So really getting under the hood and finding out where they are in the performance curve, and also how they are sensing the workload. Because one thing our sector definitely does more of is multitasking, wearing different hats. They tend to do many duties and roles, unlike some other sectors who are quite specific in the job role, which can add to perceptions of stress.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's great. Fully agree.
Thank you, Peter. More than happy to take 2 more questions maybe before we finish. Anybody? I'm just having a look at what there is. Quite a lot written in the chat box. I'm just not sure if there's questions. Let me have a little look.
Glenda, you mentioned about getting curious and really understanding why your members are leaving your facility.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to do that? You know, because there are lots of different, you know, channels of communication, and not, you know, if somebody's leaving, they don't always want to have that conversation. You know, how could that is a challenge. That is a challenging sort of, you know, to tackle that and to really get a proper understanding of why members are leaving. You know, what would your advice be around being able to, you know, have those conversations and understand?
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant question, and I would say that it has got to be multifaceted for the very reason that you just said, that not everybody likes to communicate a certain way. A couple of little tips that I'd like to say is, obviously it's important that we do data collection. That is maybe going to give you more of an honest approach if you send it out, and hopefully do it in a way that could come back anonymized. That could be something that you could do as a database send out to previous members, but it comes back anonymously, would be very powerful. There is obviously huge merits in the exit interview, but sometimes it's a good idea to do that when the dust is settled, not within 2 days of the member telling you and that you've tried everything and they're still going to go. It would mean a lot if you touch base with that member 3 months later. You're showing them that you're still in their mind, which is also a message about the service that you provide. And by that time, it's not as emotive. It'll be maybe more rational. And I think that that's a good piece of advice. But I think you have got to do numerous ways of getting that data back. And I do think data will only tell you so much. So you've got to get that richness by way of speaking to people too, for sure.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Glenda.
Emma's asked a question, if I can just pick up, about training providers within the industry offering more wellness sessions for people working in the industry. Emma, it's a great question. I mean, our business, We Talk Wellbeing, already do wellbeing diplomas, certificates and awards, accredited by Royal Society of Public Health and sponsored by SimSpa. But there are other providers out there that now do offer the upskilling element of wellbeing and its integration to the fitness industry. So that's a great question. And I think you're going to see a huge amount more of it, Emma, over the next 2 years.
Thank you for that, Glenda. Thank you.
No problem at all. Laura, you ask a lovely question. What country is leading the way in the wellness industry? Are there examples of gyms we can look at who have introduced wellness services for their members? Laura, absolutely there are. I wouldn't say it's one country over another. There are pockets of great practice, and we would be more than delighted to give you some case studies that you could take a look at if that interests you. More than happy to do that. She might have gone. Any other final questions? Emma, I just want to thank everybody that took the time and effort to stay on for the entire call. I think that says a lot. So thank you so much for your commitment this morning. Do you want to just let people know what we will be doing on webinar 2?
Yeah, and we'd love you to join. And if you have people haven't joined, please spread the word. We want to see people on this. So here we'll explore the power of resilient culture on a club, employees, and what the revenue stream opportunity is for you. We want to make sure that we're putting you first to empower your mindset and build your skill set and teach you this tool set to understand what resilience is and how you as a leader can strengthen that within your club and your team members. So this is much more about a deeper understanding, and you start to pick up tools and techniques that you can use. By the end of this workshop, you'll have a deeper understanding of what resilience is, and you'll be able to start to build that culture and that journey of well-being. So we were becoming aware today, and now we're going to start to look at how we can do that. So my question is, what are you going to take from today? You might just leave and become curious. You might start to think about where you are on that pressure performance curve, where you think your employees and your members are. But please just keep being curious. It can be really easy just to step into the business, but keep that bird's eye view if you can.
Thank you, Emma.
So over to you, Glenda.
I just wanted to say that if you are interested in resilience, Joanna is going to reach out to you guys about an exclusive Explore offer. You're more than welcome to look at it. Reach out to Emma and I. Even if it's a question, we are absolutely delighted to engage with you. The more people that are shouting the message for thriving in our industry, that can only be a fantastic thing. So we want to thank you for your time, and we'll hang out for another couple of minutes if anybody requires us before you drop off. So I want to thank you. As Emma said, keep curious, and when your reflection comes, please do reach out to us if you've got any burning questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So we're here if anybody does want to. I know that most people will have to go, but I'll be here for the next 5-10 minutes. Got me reflecting, Emma.
Always does.
It always does. Georgina, I'm just answering questions in the chat box. You still there, Joanna?
I am, yes.
I'm just answering questions in the chat box there.
Ah, right, yes. Yeah, no one. So anyone that wants to attend the workshop on the 18th of May, I will send out an invitation via email to everybody that joined this session today, so they have the opportunity to join the 18th workshop.
Good. It's nice to see the people that want to go to the second one.
I know, yeah. Well, I just found it a really incredible, inspiring session. I think it's delivered a lot of value, I think, to everybody that joined today. And I'm excited to share the recording with the people that weren't able to attend. yeah, it's got me really excited for the May 18th event now.
It definitely gets you thinking, doesn't it?
Yes, very much so. I loved the pressure and performance curve. I'm actually going to share that with my team.
Yeah,
And
it's
make
so
a conscious
useful.
effort to, I'm just going to make a conscious effort to understand where everyone's at, just because I think it's really easy to just get swept up in the chaos and forget to check in. And I know that obviously my team, myself, Jane and Joe, we literally work at 1,000,000 miles an hour constantly. And it's like I said, it's so easy to just get, lost in the chaos. So I thought that was really, really insightful. I'm actually going to use it on our next team meeting.
Yeah, I think you'll get a lot of success. We've got so many models like that, and people love models.
Yes.
We will use the pressure performance curve when we do the webinar, as in the live webinar, when we do the workshop, and we will make it really interactive, so they'll enjoy that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, that'll be fantastic.
Actually, what I would say that I'm pleased about, now you never know, they could have left the office, but sometimes on a Zoom call, depending on the subject, you can see people drop off. But we had the full 30 people till about 50 minutes.
Yeah, we did. It was really, really fantastic attendance. I had a feeling it would be, that's
so that was good.
Yeah, really good, really good. But no, it was absolutely fantastic. Oh, hi, Jade.
Hi.
Hi, Jade.
I absolutely loved it. I was sitting there in the wings in the background watching and listening.
What's a takeaway for you, Jade?
Oh gosh, just being more aware, and like Joe said, to be honest, looking at the bigger picture. We get very swept up in everything and we don't take a step back and like look at the whole picture and go, okay, what are my controllable variables and what can I do to really make a better impact on this, rather than just tackling everything at once and spinning too many plates.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I think that what will be fantastic, and it's just such a pleasure that you did it, but it's such a chunky topic that when you give them that time on the second one, we'll be able to achieve a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just, it's really, and I do believe it'll happen, even those people on the call, if they go back and reflect, it can be just really quite profound, a few days later when you're realizing that those external factors will always be there.
Yeah.
But it's about what we can do about that.
The one that really got to me and really, really resonated with me is that whole seeing self-care as selfish. And as a mum, I feel that so deeply. And I think that is probably what I mean, because you said about the excuses about, I don't have time, but actually a lot of it comes down to that. I think as parents.
It's a huge one that we see all the time.
But how do you tackle that? Because even I'm in that place, I'm like, I see going out for a couple of hours to the gym as me being selfish, because I work all day, I've got my daughter, she comes home from school, I go off to the gym, she doesn't see me. So it's like, I see that as, so how do you tackle that? Because that's a big one for me.
Yeah, it's a challenge. We absolutely get it all the time, Emma and I, with corporate, female, male, females much more than men.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things that once you start to reframe that self-care is going to make you a better mum, you will buy into that, because it is the truth.
I'll add to that. I used to run a coaching company for kids and then parents, and so you've got to think about what you want for your daughter. How do you want her to be at your age? Do you want her to be burnt out, or do you want her to say, actually, I love myself enough that I'll take a break, and mummy does this because it makes me a better mum and how I show up.
But there's a gym marketing campaign there.
Yeah,
that is going to really resonate.
People learn even as a leader, they learn from what they see, not what they hear.
Yeah.
And so actually what you're doing brilliantly is showing her and the people around you that they matter. Yeah, it's really good behaviours to.
So powerful.
Really, really, hopefully, I think that you'll definitely going to get people that will go on to that second one. I'm not sure if they're Explore or not, but I'm sure there must be.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I'm just.
Jill Buckley, really appreciate this saying, would be interested. What's she interested in? Was it the course or was it?
I think they're all interested in doing the second event, Emma.
Yes. Yeah, and Georgina. So I'm going to send the invitation out to everybody after this, along with your offer as well, and the recording if we can get that ready in time. But I just, yeah, I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's just so amazing to be. It's so amazing for Explore to be associated and collaborating with you guys, because it honestly the value you delivered there was just, and your knowledge and your expertise, and just it was just amazing. I'm so honestly, I was just I was blown away.
Delighted to do it with you guys, for sure. Really delighted. Touch base with us, let us know anything that you need. We will be all over promoting whatever you want us to do, so let us know about what you would like us to get out there. And just want to thank you guys for your time.
Honestly, thank you. Honestly, it was absolutely brilliant, and I'm just I'm blown away by what you guys have just delivered there. I really am, and I'm so excited for the 18th. So yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, it was brilliant.
Guys, you be good. We will see you real soon.
Yes, yeah.
Excited for the next one.
Me too. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.